events of fights taking place in Europe, and then America takes over later in the day.
Yeah, we have talked about that. We've talked about doing 2 shows at the same time. We've talked about doing a lot of stuff. But one of the things you guys got to understand, the hardest part is the infrastructure. It's creating all this new talent, and it's not just fighters. It's commentators. It's buffer's position. It's cameramen. It's all the things that go along with putting on the event that we put on. It's a lot of work.
Do you think it's possible to make some UFC event in the East Europe, or maybe in Poland or Russia?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we literally want to take this thing everywhere, and I've been saying this for so many years. We want to take it everywhere. We're going everywhere, and we literally have been doing that, taking it everywhere and going everywhere. Not just the UFC, but now the Ultimate Fighter too.
Not wanting to weaken what you do, of course, because you want to have 8 or 9 champions on one belt. Would you ever consider then creating a kind of European champion or a South American champion?
We did. We talked about that too. We talked about rankings. Just like boxing, guys ranked in other countries. So you end up with the guy who's ranked, I don't know. You have the UFC champions, and then you got guys that are ranked in different countries. Absolutely makes sense. And the big picture, long term, it absolutely makes sense.
You said you didn't want to talk too much about the over stuff, but
no, I didn't say that. I said I don't want to talk about it at all.
I wasn't going to ask that. I'm going to transition right off. It's pretty smooth. You had a lot of stuff going on in Nevada State, Athletic Christians and stuff. Talk a little bit about the Mola Wall thing, about that decision and how that all went down.
The what wall?
The Mola Wall, King Mo.
Yeah, that was so long ago now. I got to remember what the hell happened. There's so much shit going on. King Mo. Here's the thing with that. I don't know, some of you who are standing here right now might be those guys, might not be those guys, but some of the dummies in the press started talking about me cutting him as if this was something between me and him. What people have to understand, this is way bigger than me and him. Okay, first of all, this guy is an unlicensed fighter. He's not licensed. He just got busted for using something, Again, everybody has their due process. He will have his day before the commission. He went before the commission, and they said, we're suspending you for 9 months, and he got whatever was handed down to him, okay? Now, he has to go before the Nevada State Athletic Commission again before he can get licensed. And for those of you that are from other countries and don't understand how this works, there's this thing called the ABC, the Association of Boxing Commissioners in the United States. Those are the commissioners from all over the country and all the different states, okay? They work as a unit, they work together, right? And basically what he did was, he went into, it's like going into a courtroom. Okay, I'm going into court, and before the judge hands down his sentence to me, I say, hey judge, before you sentence me, I'd just like to let you know that I think you're a dick. All right, go ahead. What do you want to do to me now? That's literally what he did. Before he gets licensed again, he has to go before the Nevada State Athletic Commission. And that is not going to be a fun day for him, I would have to imagine. So maybe I'm wrong.
Is your concern that he wouldn't be able to get licensed?
No, it's not my concern. He called her a racist bitch. So basically, these are the people that oversee me too.
Right.
These are the people that can tell me, you can no longer have a license. It's bigger than me and him. It's bigger than that. So he's got his own problems before he's got to deal with me. You understand what I'm saying? He's got to go back before the commission and get licensed.
He says that he's had a phone conversation with the commissioner that he kind of he apologized and they kind of smoothed that over. I mean, does that make a difference to you?
It's awesome. Everybody makes mistakes. I say this all the time, and it's all in how you handle yourself after you make those mistakes. I'm not Mr. Perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes myself, and I will make more. So there's been other guys too. Tito Ortiz still fights in the UFC.
So the door's not closed.
We'll see how this whole thing goes down. The fact that he called her and has reached out to her, I mean, it's what he should have done. It's respectable. I mean, I respect that. We'll see how this whole thing, it doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't matter if he's with the UFC, not with the UFC, whatever. He's an unlicensed fighter that can't fight for another 6 months or whatever it is. Then he's got to go before the Athletic Commission again to get licensed. So he's got bigger problems than me.
In general, have you been happy with the way Nevada, the Commission has handled all the stuff that's come before them recently. They've dealt with a lot regarding the super promotions. You've been happy with everything there?
You're trying to go around what I said I didn't want to talk about.
It's a more general question.
Yeah.
I'm throwing a net.
You're good, you. Oh, yeah, he has a question, yeah.
Michael Morgan, Work TV, by the way. You spoke about going into India. The fact that the Super Fight League are actually putting together the same sort of format in terms
Who
of...
is?
The Super Fight League.
Yeah, okay.
Putting together the same sort of format. They're looking like the reality TV program which they're going to use to recruit fighters.
Right.
Just two questions. The first is, what sort of timescale are you working to? And the second is, how receptive are you having any discussion with the Super Fight League concerning their promotion and how yours is going to coexist?
No, but I'm a journalist. I'm working.
Oh, that's their territory?
Are you? Yeah.
That's how they're doing
Recording, just stuff like that. Well, we'll see.
How come I'm here to ask?
I'll tell you what, we'll see how that whole thing plays out. And we've been around for a long time. I've heard this, the questions you just asked me, I've heard a million times about a million different leagues. And we'll see what happens with us in the Super Fight League.
Okay, in terms of timescale though, they're obviously going to be drawing from the...
We're on TV there now. We're on TV there now.
So I meant for the reality Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
They're obviously drawing from a very deep pool. You'll be drawing from the same pool. So I just want to know what your timescale was.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you a question. You can answer this question yourself, okay? The UFC is absolutely 100% coming to India. It is happening. We're on television there now, and we will be looking for fighters to do the Ultimate Fighter in India. So if anybody over in India, that is considered talented or whatever, do they want to fight in the Super Fight League or do they want to fight in the UFC? That's up to them. We'll be going over there and we'll be putting together the same show. Obviously, the show that these guys would be doing is a rip-off and a copy of what we do. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how this whole thing plays out. But I'm pretty confident that we're going to do all right over in India. Did I answer your question?
Indeed.
Alrighty. Did I answer yours? No, I didn't.
For Swedish TV here, can you tell me what you see for Alex Gustafsson after the fight tonight in the future?
What do I think about him? I think he proved tonight that he's one of the top guys in the world at that weight class. And, I think in his next fight you'll see him fighting somebody in the top 5, 6. Around there.
What about Rampage?
It was a big night for him, man, and a big win.
What about Rampage for Alex Gustafsson?
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, he doesn't like wrestlers.
How big do you think this night was for the UFC here in Sweden?
It was awesome, man. It was a killer night. I mean, one of the things that I really love is when we go into a new market and we break records. I love that. We broke the arena record tonight. The crowd was awesome. I think that every fighter who fought on this card here tonight delivered. So for the people who live here in Sweden and came to a UFC event for their first time, these fighters delivered, and everybody left with a good taste in their mouth and what happened here tonight. And their hometown guy won, and
And are you planning right now to come back, or have you signed for any more events in the future?
Fight just ended an hour ago. No planning yet. To be honest with you, I always say this: in great markets, we'd come here every weekend. This place is so great. Great city, great fans. I'll give, if not one of the loudest crowds ever that we've ever been to. This is top 3. It is without a doubt 100% the most educated crowd we've ever fought in front of.
Dana, what are the potential?
I love it.
What are the potential outcomes for Brazil with it being up in the air? Are you talking about just moving in a week, or could there be a significant change?
No clue. This thing all depends on what happens with the mayor down there. Mayor's getting pressure to not hold the event at that time, and even if we can pull it off at the same time, there's a big problem with hotel rooms. So I have no clue. We're waiting to hear back on that.
But no chance you change to another city. It'll be
yeah. It has to be in Rio. We tried to do Sao Paulo. That didn't work out. And I don't think we're equipped to move to any other city because we haven't planned or prepared for it. Like I've said a million times, we want to go all over that country too, Manaus and all these other places, but we're not ready for that yet.
Is that stadium booked the following weeks at all? Do you know?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
So would it change drastically, the date, or are you just talking about shifting around a week or two?
Forward, a week back, around there. We don't. That's what we're trying to do. It's tough, man. You don't just have a 80,000 seat arena on hold and go, oh, shit, you know what? We need to do this next week. It doesn't work that way. Not to mention the fact that as many fights as we're doing, you can't start stomping on other dates because the gap isn't big enough You said that tonight. And you're right.
One question. I know you don't want to talk about Overeem at all, but with all the
somebody will talk to you about Overeem. Dude, please, I will snap and freak out, and I don't want to do that.
No,
I can't talk about it.
I guess what I want to ask about is the TRT thing. Do you think?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I'm too upset about it. I seriously, I can't talk about it. You want Lorenzo? Lorenzo's peanut butter, man. He's fucking smooth. Let him talk to you. I'm not. I can't do it. I can't talk about this.
Will you actually say then that or admit that maybe it's time that you have to kind of temper what you feel emotionally and passionately when things come up sometimes, and just withdraw a little from being so vociferous about situations because it gets you in trouble?
No, I mean, I don't care about getting in trouble.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that I'm going to say anything that's going to get me in trouble here, but you know, it's just, I'm too, I don't know what the word is. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it.
I'm only talking about the fact
I can't even put into words how I feel about this thing. You know what I mean? I'm really upset. I'm really upset about this. I'm very pissed off.
It's cool.
And I really don't want to talk about it.
I guess the one thing I would ask though is people are starting to say you need to get involved, and you've made it clear, hey, that's tough. We can't, logistically, we can't do it. But is your opinion changing on that at all? That maybe you do need to be involved in it?
But we are involved. I mean,
with the pre-testing.
Seriously, and I know that this, you know, it's a crazy hot topic right now. But literally in all of sports, we have the gold standard in testing policies and everything else, the way that these guys are tested. I mean, I was standing at the MGM Grand talking to you guys about this that day that they were being tested that day.
Right.
You know? So, it's just, it is what it is. I mean, these guys are getting tested all the time. Guys are getting, you know why we're sitting here talking about this? Because these guys are being fucking tested.
Right. Well, the argument that people would make, though, is that if the UFC did some of its own testing out of competition at random...
We do. We don't do random testing. That's the other thing. If the UFC did... First of all the guys that come into the UFC, now we change the policy. You sign a deal with us, you get tested. You go into the Ultimate Fighter, you get tested. We test. We don't even have to fucking test. That's not what we do. That's what the Athletic Commission does. We test. Right? Then the Athletic Commission now is doing random tests before, leading up to the fight, after the fight. They're being tested like crazy. The fucking testing in this sport is insane. It is literally the gold standard in all of sports. So now for people to say, UFC should random, do you have any fucking idea how much shit I do in a week? You know what I mean? And how many guys we're trying to fucking keep rein up in this and that and that? You're grown men. You're fucking adults. You're professional athletes. How many fucking times do you have to be told not to do this? To the point to where you just completely blow your entire fucking career? So it gets to the point where when people start saying, this is starting to affect the credibility, it does not affect the credibility of the UFC. We are 100% more on top of drug testing than any other fucking sport on earth other than the Olympics.
Well, the argument I hear less than credibility is that, you know, financially, that if you can get out in front of some of this stuff, do some of your own testing, then you don't get to a point where you're, you know, a few weeks before a fight and you have to, you know, you lose.
So I have 375 fighters in every country all over the world, okay? The battle that I have to get these guys to get their fucking bout agreements back and show up for press is unfucking believable. The fact that I have to make personal phone calls to tell guys to talk to the fucking press. Now I'm gonna start making personal phone calls to go show up for random drug tests. The general public and the media need to grasp some fucking concept of reality. Okay? The reality of us doing all the fucking things that we're doing when we already have the gold standard in drug testing and then fucking try to chase 375 guys all over the world to randomly test them too? It's impossible. Listen, if you look at all the other organizations like the Super Fuckhead League or whatever that guy was just asking me about a minute ago, okay? You look at all the other companies like that have tried to do what we do, nobody can fucking do it. You know why? Because this job is insane. It's fucking crazy. I was standing in Las Vegas 10 hours ago filming a fucking TV show, and now I'm sitting here. And I'm gonna randomly drug test 375 guys around the world. You know where I'm going in a few hours? To fucking Abu Dhabi. Then I go back and film The Ultimate Fighter. Then I go to Atlanta, Miami, and I'm in fucking Rio de Janeiro for 3 hours. Then back to Las Vegas where I'll film The Ultimate Fighter again. And in between there somewhere, I'm going to randomly drug test 375 fights. Exactly.
We're suggesting that you personally, make these calls and
Yeah.
get these guys to do that.
There's a lot of things that, we have a ton of staff, and the answer isn't throwing more bodies at this thing. The answer is, when all this shit happens, I have to fucking make personal phone calls. Me. I have a full PR team, right? Good people from all over the world that have great fucking resumes and everything else. I have to make personal phone calls and say, dude, why are you not showing up for this fucking press thing that you're supposed to do? Did you say no, you wouldn't do this? Did you say no? I'm still making personal phone calls like that. So it's an easy, random, general, fun thing to throw around and say, hey, I don't think the UFC is doing enough. I think they should do this and randomly drug test their 375 fighters. We're already fucking doing it when they sign their contracts. It's being done before they come on The Ultimate Fighter. It's being done by the Athletic Commission before, during, and after fights. It's just, you guys are being fucking ridiculous.
But the bottom line is
the bottom line is
athletes need to grow up.
They do, exactly. You need to take some fucking responsibility for what you're doing. It's not a secret, and it's not a secret that in sports you're going to have guys who are going to try to cheat. But guess what? To label the entire fucking sport this way, there's a lot of guys who don't cheat. There's a lot of guys who work hard and sacrifice and do all the right things. So to lump everybody into this drug testing conversation is unfair to the guys who don't. And if you look at how many fights we put on and how much we've done over the last 11 years, there aren't a lot of fucking guys really getting busted for using this stuff.
Dana.
Any other further questions about this, please call Lorenzo Fertitta at the office and talk to him. He'll give you much better answers than me.
Talking about something more
and Lorenzo knows more about it than I do. He's a former regulator, okay? I don't know enough about it, and next question.
Yeah, talking about something more pleasant here. Do you think that having Thiago Silva against Alexander Gustafsson actually worked out as a perfect matchup for UFC's debut in Sweden?
Yeah, it was a great fight, but I think the Little Nog fight would have been great too. I think both guys were great opponents. We were in a very fortunate situation where when Little Nog got hurt, that Thiago stepped up and took this fight, and it was one of those situations where you're like, almost like, oh damn, this might even be a better fight. It's one of those scenarios. So
after all, Gustafsson and Bader are currently the only two fighters in the UFC light heavyweight division on winning streaks. Is that the matchup?
I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. Could be though. Not a bad idea, but I'm pretty sure I think Bader has. If it hasn't been announced yet, Bader's got something coming up. Can't remember what it is though. But I think Bader's got a fight coming up.
Obviously Cruz, and just to go back quickly on Brad Pickett, obviously Cruz and Faber have got to fight off after the Ultimate Fighter for the belt again. But do you see Brad Pickett as guy who could step in against either?
I love Brad Pickett's personality. Yeah. I love his style. I love the way the guy fights. I love the way the guy carries himself. I'm a Pickett fan, man. So this fight has to happen at the end of the Ultimate Fighter, which I think is like 6 or 7 weeks away.
July.
And then we'll see where we go from there.
What would the prospect be of having, if he fought in a world title fight or a UFC world title fight in the UK? Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Believe me when I tell you, we're hammering it over there, trying to figure out a new deal. And I think that when we do land the right deal over in the UK, everything's going to be golden over there. It'll be perfect. It's a great market, and it's always the market that's made the most sense to me, other than the United States and Mexico when we first bought this thing. So it's been a long, hard battle, and we're still fighting it. Obviously, the deal that we have with Fox now helps, and hopefully we can get something done over there.
The reason we didn't see Brian Stann, is he okay? Do you have to go check that out?
What was Brian Stann? That's a good question. He wasn't hurt or anything, so I don't know.
He's working the Atlanta show next week. I think they had to do Fuel TV.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
How much more do you think the organization can grow? How much more can you handle, the way you're working right now?
Come on, man. Do I seem stressed out? Am I fucking... I think I can do a lot more than I'm doing now.
Your eyebrows twitching a little bit.
I think that there's a lot of room to grow. Not only around the world, but in the United States still. Still some room to grow in England and all these other places. not to mention the fact that once we start the Ultimate Fighter in all these different countries,
then you have to clone yourself.
When we talk about, when we get into these executive meetings and start talking about the potential for this thing, it's hard to wrap your brain around all the stuff that's possible. You know, it's just a matter of dialing it in and getting it done. And like I was snapping at this gentleman earlier, I think that, you know, if you look at the amount of work that we do and the things that we accomplish and get done, from, you know, battling, you know, all the stupid shit. Every day when I get up, dumb shit happens that I have to deal with. So every day you get up, we're like, all right, this is what we're going to tackle today, you know? And then you wake up and King Mo calls the commissioner a name. You wake up and Rampage is on a rampage. You wake up and, you know, this guy's doing that and that guy's doing this and all the other stupid shit that happens every day that I have to deal with, that takes your eye off the ball. Man, we get a lot of stuff done.
Then you have to fly over about 25 different time zones in 24 hours.
Yeah, and now with this new Ultimate Fighter, I mean, I'm doing the Ultimate Fighter 26 weeks a year now. 26 weeks a year I'm filming the Ultimate Fighter. So, and that's just the United States. It doesn't include all the other countries that are going to happen, because I do the first 3 episodes in Brazil, the last 2 episodes in Brazil, and we'll do the first 3 and last 2 in every country we're in.
You think there's a chance to bring it here in Sweden?
Yeah, hell yeah. After tonight, I think anything is possible in Sweden. And the fact that there's so much good talent over here. That's really the key. It's about cultivating great talent and finding out, you know, what there is in each country, and if there isn't, then how do we fix it? How do we kickstart a country and start to create some talent?
You know, you sold out in 3 hours this arena, and how important do you think this event is for the UFC? I mean, with Alex and his fight and all those people here and the great show you put on.
What do I think?
Yeah, how important do you think it is for Sweden and pretty much for the whole of Scandinavia?
It's huge. What happens is every time we go into a new country and we put, you know, people watch it on TV, and it's fun to watch on TV, and most of you guys that go to all the events know this. What you see on TV is completely 100% different than what you experience at the live event. And once we do that live event, you know, tonight we had 15,000 something people here. They are out there running around, buzzing, telling all their friends and basically passing on the word what happened here tonight. And that's really what kickstarts a market and gets it going. As much great talent as there is in this country right now, watch and see what happens in the next 2 years because of this event.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys done with me?
Yeah.
Yeah? Good.
Go and chill.
So
exactly.
Where are you going out there?
I'm going to go eat, and then I'm leaving in a few hours to go to Abu Dhabi.
Coach?
Flying coach? Yep, flying coach, yeah.
Nice to see you, man.
Coach on the private jet.
Pleasure. Thank